Let's turn our attention now to the big one, and this has to do with the men's national team, the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Yes, they have commenced preparation in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State capital, ahead of the crucial African Cup of Nations qualifying matches against Benin Republic and Rwanda. We know quite well that 9 players arrived at the team's camp on Monday morning, signaling the start of an intense preparation period. The captain, William Trust Ekong, who now plies his trade in Saudi Arabia, led the early arrivals. And we have other players such as Taiwa Awoniyi, Ola Aino, Semi Ajayi, Ademola Lukman, Fisayo Dele Bashiru, Olisa Nda, Wilfred Ndidi, and Amas Obasoge, all in camp getting ready for the big one on Saturday when Nigeria takes on the Cheetahs of Benin Republic. Meanwhile, interim Super Eagles manager Austin Iguavon has selected Rangers head coach Fidelis Ilichukwu and Remo Stars coach Daniel Ogumodede as his assistants, talking about having, these, coaches also put their own or contribute their own quota to it. I think it's a very good one, it must be said. Now, joining me on the show is the Super Eagles media officer, Promise Efoghe. It's good to have you joining us from Uyo. Promise, good evening.
All right, Samson, thank you so much for having me on the show today. Okay. Good evening. Uyo is a bit clement in terms of the weather.
Okay.
There were light showers of rain this morning, and the weather is calm. And the players who arrived very early this morning are having a feel of what the city is like at the moment. Akwa Ibom has always been a very receptive place in terms of the people, the culture, the cultural heritage here. And their love for football is phenomenal.
Okay.
And their love for the Super Eagles, the national team, is actually great. Despite the fact that the last time out, the results were not very good. But the frenzy that occasions the presence of the Super Eagles in this part of the country is beginning to build up as we count down to those important AFCON qualifiers.
Okay, let me get your thoughts now quickly. Last time we checked, we had 9 players in camp. Is that still the case in terms of the 9 players in camp? And what's the atmosphere like ahead of the crunch, game? Because the last time we faced the Cheetahs of Benin Republic, it was in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers, and we know that ended in a 2-1 loss right there in Ivory Coast. What's the feeling like in camp?
Yes, still 9 players in camp, early days.
Okay.
Camp only opened today. A number of the Nigerian players featured for their club sites at the weekend. It's a long trip from their various clubs down to Nigeria. And so we expect a lot more of these guys to get in before the close of business today. A lot more would arrive on Tuesday. And by Tuesday evening, we should have a full house in camp. Yes, the next game is against the Benin Republic team. The last time wasn't really good in terms of the result. The players gave their very best. The team gave its very best under coach Finidi at that time in June. It was the first time Nigeria would lose against the Benin Republic. On the faces of these guys, I can see regret. Regret in the sense that they still feel the pinch of that loss, that unexpected loss to Benin Republic. But this time around, they are looking forward to giving Benin Republic a taste of their own peel. I can sense revenge in them. They know what is at stake. This is an AFCON qualifier, not a World Cup qualifier. Yeah. Remember the last time at the AFCON, earlier this year, the Super Eagles got to the final. They were on the verge of doing it again. Lost narrowly in the final against the host nation, Ivory Coast. This is an opportunity for them to get back to the AFCON tournament again and try to lay their hands on the trophy for a 4th time. So the Super Eagles want to get back to winning ways. They want to get back to that field. They want to restore confidence on the part of the fans. And
I would like to butt in now.
To do that and to win against the
Permit me to butt in here, Promise. Let's talk quickly about the players now. You said they are eager to get going in terms of correcting the wrongs that we saw during the World Cup qualifiers. It's early days for some of these players from their club duties in terms of the new season. But are there any injury concerns we should be worried about in camp or that Nigerians should be aware of?
None. Every player that was invited are players who are fit. players who have been playing for their club sides, and training hasn't commenced yet.
Okay.
We are not looking forward to any form of injury. Training will commence fully tomorrow. The players will be hitting the gym later this evening, and then training will commence fully by Tuesday morning. Coach Austin Efoghe is on his way to camp. He should arrive at camp this evening before the close of business, and training for the team will commence fully by tomorrow. We are not looking forward to any form of injuries. We're hoping that these players will maintain the same kind of fitness level that we've seen them, show at their club sides since the season began. We're hoping that they can replicate all of that in these games coming up for the Nigerian national team.
Okay, you talked about the interim manager, Austin Efoghe, joining the camp in a matter of hours, so to speak. How about the new assistants? We're talking about Daniel Ogumodede of Remo Stars. This is a known face when it comes to Nigerian football on the domestic scene. You also have Fidelis Ilechukwu, the current champion of the domestic league. What do you make of these additions to the coaching crew of the Super Eagles at this time to prosecute the two crucial, African Cup of Nations qualifiers that we have?
Fantastic additions, if you ask me. We're hoping that both coaches will join the Eagles camp by tomorrow as well. Those announcements were made earlier today. The coaches will need time to pack their bags and find their way to Uyo on or before the close of business on Tuesday. Fidelis Ilechukwu, household name as far as the Nigeria Premier Football League is concerned. Ogumodede, also a very household name. These are coaches who were number 1 and number 2 in the last Nigeria Premier Football League season. These are tested and trusted coaches for their respective club sides. They've done it again and again, competing in the CAF Champions League. So much experience under their belt. These two will be giving their support to one I want to call a veteran as far as Nigerian coaching is concerned, Austin Efoghe, for these 2 games. Yep. The Football Federation is still very much looking forward to getting a substantive coach for the Super Eagles. But as it stands, these men will be steering the ship of the Super Eagles for these forthcoming very important AFCON qualifiers against Benin Republic and Rwanda. And I think Austin Efoghe will look back, see Ogumodede, look back, see Fidelis Ilechukwu, and their presence would inspire a lot of confidence for him in these very crucial games.
Okay, just before I let you go, I would like to ask this. You are the Super Eagles media officer, and to say that, the expectations of most Nigerians at this point in time from the team is at its lowest point would be an understatement, considering how, the 2026 World Cup qualifying phase has gone about up to this point. So the question is simple. For you, you said earlier that the players are eager to go. What is the message the team will be passing to Nigerians in terms of expectations for the match on Saturday against the Cheetahs of Benin Republic and on Tuesday against the Amavubi of Rwanda?
You see, sometimes when the expectations are low, that's when the Super Eagles really come to really prove everyone wrong. What we've seen now, the World Cup qualifiers, I would consider as a blip. And I've told everyone who cares to listen that the World Cup qualifiers isn't over yet. I mean, we've seen the Super Eagles turn around very difficult bends like this and really get to get what they really deserve or what they want as far as qualifiers are concerned. The difference between the top team in the World Cup qualifier and where the Super Eagles currently are, it's 4 points, and they have 6 more games to play. I mean, it's still a very long road as far as the World Cup qualifiers are concerned, and I still believe very strongly that the Super Eagles can make it to the World Cup 2026. Yes, recent results having been very good enough, but this is the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Okay. I mean, the biggest football brand in Africa. The boys are positive that they can turn things around, and they will begin to do so when they beat Benin Republic and beat them silly this weekend in New York.
Okay, and so on that note, we'll have to wrap it up. And just to thank you so much for your contributions on the show. We'll definitely keep tabs with you to get the latest development from the Super Eagles camp. And you can be assured that most Nigerians in spite of their recent disappointments, we'll still support the team because that's the only team we have at this point in time. Promise Efoghe, Super Eagles Media Officer, thank you so much for your time on the show.
Thank you so much, Samson.
Thank you. Okay, there you have it. The media officer of the Super Eagles telling us that 9 players are still in camp as we speak, and the players are ready to go to right the wrongs that they made when they took on the Cheetahs of Benin Republic last time out during the World Cup qualifiers for the 2026 World Cup in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. That was a 2-1 loss for Nigeria. This time around, the boys are ready to turn the tides around. We can only wish them the very best. Still talking about